Good morning, guys. Good morning. Good morning. What's going on? What's going on? Special little stream for you guys this morning. So we're going to stream the interview that happened between Icy Amphibian and Lilbidman. There's a lot of good information there, guys, that you guys need to know about. Lilbidman is a great source of my information. He's a great source of Max's information. He sends us great stuff. One of the OGs when it comes to JASMY info. So you're definitely going to want to listen up to this. A lot of where he thinks things are going, what he thinks is happening behind the scenes, all this kind of stuff, guys. You definitely want to watch it. Wes, what's up, buddy? Let's go. Let's go. William in the house. How you doing, man? WF Capital, this better be good, Rob. I was about to hit the sell button. I don't believe you. How's the tongue? It's good. It's good so far today. I haven't bitten it again yet, but the day's early, right? So we'll see where it goes. This is a stream you guys are going to want to check out. Let me know, guys. I'm going to be phasing in and out of this, so I'll be here sometimes. Sometimes I won't be here. So listen up and let me know if you guys can hear this okay. All right? Just give me a second here. Can you guys hear that? What about now? Can't hear nothing yet? Okay, give me a second. Can you hear now? What now? Can you hear it? Yeah, you can hear now? Okay.
And much of his early research has materialized into partnerships and announced developments. After reading Lilbidman's research for a couple months, I knew Jasmy was different from anything else out there, which led to my dedication to learning blockchain and distributed ledger technologies. People from all over the world have read his work, and now you're finally going to hear from the man himself. It is an honor to have you, Lilbidman. How are you?
Hey, what's up? How you doing? What's up, Icy?
Doing well, doing well. So,
what is up, community? Hello. I'm a pretty normal person behind everything, and but I am probably as fascinated with Jasmy as any of you, and I'm continue to be so. So, hello, everybody. I hope we have a cool conversation today. You know, this is my third Twitter space too, I'd like to say. So I'm new to this whole talking head role in the
That's
community.
Just fine. It sounds like you're in Oakland right now. I can hear the sirens.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a beautiful day in Oakland, though.
Well, let's just hop right into it. So the first question I have for you is, who is Lilbidman? What do you do professionally, and what are your hobbies?
Gotcha. Okay. So, let's see. by trade, I'm just an electrical engineer. Your standard run-of-the-mill, run wire, and make sure electricity gets from point A to point B. That's what I was trained for in college. And I went to school at the steel mill in Pittsburgh, California. We have a Pittsburgh, California too. It's actually where the steel mill is. And we would take classes there. And from there, I just got a interest in how electricity ran from one place to the next, how it got from here to there. And, you know, even now, like wireless transmission of electricity is extra fascinating, because that goes back to Tesla, the original Tesla. But while in college, brought over to the music to help build and bring in new equipment and fix the studios and even fix some of the, you know, the gear in there, you know, learning how to wire microphones and create coils to create, you know, magnetic induction and, you know, just a lot of interesting things. Having grown up where I grew up, there's a lot of creative people. A lot of my friends were into music. And so I would, you know, bring them into school, get them into the studio, and I developed a passion for transmitting electricity in audio form, you know, not just to power a house, but also to power our soul and creative, you know, parts of our personalities, you know. So that is the gist of it. Over the years, I've done everything from live sound, in cold weather and hot weather, and sound travels differently in different temperatures. And once again, we're dealing with, you know, electricity. It's still all electricity. And then computers, you know, I'm in the half a century club, so I'm in the middle of my life, and I've seen a lot of technology change. And, you know, computers has come into, you know, play during my life. We didn't grow up with computers in our houses. And once again, that's still electrical. Every time you click a keyboard, you click one letter, you're sending electricity. And now we're looking at electricity as like almost data, which is where like Bitcoin comes in. So it's still all electricity. So like my whole life has been based around electricity getting from one place to the next. And now we're doing it with money too. Money is in the form of electricity being passed around. So my original field is still pretty much what I'm into, but it's just grown so much and encompasses so much that there's, you know, a million possibilities for, you know, what I can do and who I can work for and how I can help out different projects and different teams in what they're trying to resolve, whether it's, you know, getting the best audio quality that you can get today. I'm fascinated with NFTs. I always thought MP3s ripped off the artists. You know, I thought that was the worst thing that happened to music, was free MP3s. And I love free stuff, don't get me wrong. That's also what interests me about things like JASMY and the using blockchain for digital, you know, rights management for content creators. And once again, content is electricity, whether it's, you know, Photoshop or, you know, video, a meme, all of those are still created with electricity. And once you create it, you're trying to get that electrical digital representation from point A to point B. So at a certain point, I think I realized that this does compromise everybody's personal data in ways that I didn't see in the beginning, because in the very beginning, most of the equipment I was working on wasn't connected to the internet. It was digital, it was electrical equipment, but it didn't have access to get hacked. Like you couldn't hack a speaker or a mixing board or any of that. And so it wasn't until later on that you start to realize how much information we are sharing. Once computers came around, I had to put my information in to listen to an album, to listen to new music. I had to give up information that was completely unnecessary for me to be able to listen to music. And it's basically the gist of it. Some of the jobs I've had, I've built speakers, I've taught high school, I've worked in studios. I worked at Fantasy Studios in Berkeley for a while. That's where they recorded the Carlos Santana Supernatural album, and tons and tons of albums. Creedence Clearwater Revival came out of there before my time. And I was, at one point, I was even manufacturing vinyl and cutting the masters and doing that job. So I've, in my 50 years, I've done a lot of roles, but they've all been based on electrical engineering principles. So
I find that fascinating. I mean, as a marine engineer, you know, I'm kind of like a combination between electrical and mechanical, lean a little bit more towards mechanical. Electrical is hard. You know, that's always like electrical is a common weak point for engineers at sea. So I have a lot of respect for that. And it kind of reminds me of that one I can't remember, but that one smart little town that they were making in Japan where they were sending communication through the power.
Yeah, I mean, I lost my mind when I started reading about the electrical, the grids they were building there, and that you could actually, if one household wasn't home all day and they were using electricity, and another household was overusing electricity, it could borrow electricity from that house. Like, that's crazy. And then they were talking about all the roads were going to be transporting electricity right through the road into the smart vehicles that everyone will be using to, you know, drive around. And we saw, you know, I think there was 2 videos with Jasmy involved that showed those cars. I don't think they were getting the wireless power out of the ground yet, but I saw the concept of less people owning their own cars in Japan and using the public transportation, and how they're building these public transportation things to be more accommodating by not forcing everyone onto a bus even, you know, because they realize they don't need buses. Not everyone's going to exactly the same place. And they have a problem in those, in a lot of the prefectures in Japan where they don't have enough people to have Uber and Lyft drivers. You know, it's just not what's up there. So they're doing the robo-taxi mode with wireless power integration, which is, I still, there's some things that I even know how to do in with electricity that I don't actually understand how they work. It's like gravity. Like, I get gravity, but I still, you know, it's still hard to, nobody fully understands why or how.
Yeah, gravity gets me more than I get gravity, that's for sure.
Gravity got all of us.
Just a quick reminder to everybody listening to please retweet the space so we can get more listeners in. And if you have a question for Lilbidman, feel free to drop a comment under this space. We'll review it. I can't promise that, you know, he's going to answer anything, but, you know, we could take a look.
If it's reasonable, I'll answer it. You know.
Yeah. I know someone on Reddit, I think someone asked what your favorite dinosaur was.
My favorite dinosaur. Wow. I mean, my favorite dinosaur is probably the Komodo dragon.
Yes, yeah, it's still around. Those things are mean.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Komodo. In fact, it even goes with Japan to some extent. So yeah, Komodo dragon is my favorite dinosaur. It's still trudging along. One of the few dinosaurs that made it.
That and me and Jesse, we got the gators down in Florida, so we got those covered.
Oh, gators are amazing. I don't know how they fared so well for so long. Is it not tasty meat? I've never had a gator burger. I don't.
Gator tail is the common. It's you know, bacon wrapped gator tail is tasty.
I've watched that History Channel show where the Swamp People show.
Yeah.
I could completely live through their experiences. I don't need to experience that myself. That's crazy. You Florida people are crazy.
We are. All right. So the second serious question for you I have is, how did you discover Jasmy?
Coinbase new token listing the day that it came out, and FOMO, and a little bit of FOMO. I remember, I just remember opening it up and being like, Jasmy, that just sounds awful. You know, it doesn't sound like Cardano and all these like fancy, flashy names, like what's Jasmy? And then, I just checked it out anyway, and I read Sony and Sony execs, and I was like, what? This makes no sense, a blockchain built by people from Sony, and I was aware at the time that they were ex-Sony, but it was still like, it wasn't just some random person that was nobody at Sony saying, yeah, I used to work at Sony, I'm starting a blockchain. It was like literally the ex-president, several of the engineers that worked on, pretty critical projects and technology that we actually all use that's already integrated into our devices, like Felica and Bluetooth, that's in everybody's phone too. And then I think it was the marketing, angle of Kazumasa Sato, reading that he helped introduce the iPhone to Japan. I thought that was a kind of a big deal for me. My ears, my eyes lit up. So then I bought like a couple $100 of Jasmy right on the spot. I phoned in, I said, bam, I'm buying some. And then I read the white paper. And the white paper blew my mind. And I searched the internet for Jasmy. I found there was a Reddit community. I think I spent about 3 or 4 days looking at Reddit as a outsider. I didn't have an account, so I couldn't participate or anything. And then within 4 days, I decided to join Reddit just so I could have easy access to the Jasmy channel. And I think there was a little less than 1,000 people at the time. I think there was like, when I first went to Reddit, there was maybe 600 people, and by the time I joined, there was like 750 or 8. And then I remember there was the first 1,000, and there was like that image they made for the first 1,000 samurais, and then finally they made the one for the 5,000, and I think there was even one for 10,000. I'm not fully sure about the 10,000 one, but I think so.
Yeah, we still have the first 10K flare. I don't even know how many people from the first 1,000 are still around.
And you guys don't have metrics? I mean, can you see that, or how does that work?
There's metrics, but I don't like detailed user information like that. I don't. Yeah, I'll have to dig around. But well, you pretty much answered the next question, which was what compelled you to research and post about Jasmy over other crypto projects? Unless if you had anything else to add to that.
I mean, I guess to some extent, it was because there wasn't that much info on it. So I felt like I was uncovering info that hadn't been shared on Reddit, and there wasn't any other community around Jasmy yet where people were posting about Jasmy much. I mean, there was a few posts on GitHub that I even had horror in on them, but they were pre Coinbase listing. They were pre the regulations in Japan and the banning of crypto in China. So those were, anything you read there, you had to take into account that whatever they were discussing and trying to do was pre-regulation and pre-India and China banning crypto. So, so I looked at the Reddit one, and every day the same questions were being asked. It's like nobody can answer certain basic questions. And so I finally had the nerve to post something on Reddit, because I'd heard horror stories about joining Reddit and posting anything, and you're going to get attacked, and it's the worst thing ever, and you have to keep, you'll post something, you have to spend your whole day coming back to it, and this what people had told me about it, and I was like, I'm not really having that. I'm not actually having that experience there. Pretty much posting stuff. We're having healthy conversations. And there's room for people to ask questions. I think there was a certain point where the FUD was like kind of over the top, and I think that's when I started doing more deep dives for everyone, kind of trying to organize my thoughts around it and make it intelligible, because some of the FUD was just pure lies. And I'm not saying that there wasn't any reason to FUD. There was so much unknown about Jasmy that it was easy for even me to wonder what the hell was going on. But
the dark days.
when people would post something like they don't have a partnership with so and so, it's like, no, there's actually a legitimate article in Reuters that says that they do, or legitimate, Forbes has them listed as a legitimate company and they have legitimate partnerships. So it was easy at a certain point to look at the FUD and be like, well, this person either doesn't know what they're talking about or they're lying. And I could kind of start there with my involvement in the Reddit community, was just trying to straighten the facts from the FUD.
It was a lot of work, but we did. I think, yeah, the Reddit is a great place, And I sometimes I drop into these other Reddit communities, crypto communities. They're all horrible. They don't allow. They just accuse everything as a advertisement or a shill, and there's really no real discussions in any of those other communities. And Jasmy is still in the top 50 crypto communities on Reddit, which I hope we reach the top 25, but we would need many more thousands to join because unfortunately they just go off of a subscriber number and not actual activity. But
so in the beginning with Reddit, I definitely felt like there was a lot more focus on what Jasmy was, and as Jasmy kind of became what we knew it was and people started buying more, I think people's investments became more volatile. Basically, if you have $10 in something and it drops 40%, you're like, whatever, I got $6, it doesn't feel like anything. But if you have 1,000, it hurts a little hard, a lot harder. And all of a sudden the price of Jasmy became more valuable of a discussion, than actually what Jasmy is. Like, to
it
the point
still
where
is.
I don't
Look at the most popular posts on this platform. All the most popular posts and the profiles that have the most subscribers and followers, they just mostly talk about price.
And so there's two stories going on. I had to learn to separate the two stories even in my own head. There's a company that's trying to do amazing things, has some patents, has some great partnerships. They have a few products and they look very, very promising. And then there's the story of the token, which is like, has absolutely nothing to do with the daily operation of Jasmy. But it still reflects on Jasmy, right? It still has, like, you can't completely separate it and say the coin means nothing. So I think at that point there was a really healthy split in the community between people who started doing intensive TA for people who are interested in that. And I think it's super, super valuable for anybody just coming into Jasmy to take some time, understand the charts, and not just for where the price is, but the whole story of it. Like, what's the story of the chart? Why did it originally drop? Why does it pump? And all of that, for those of us who have been around a while, it's like a long book with many chapters, and it gets easier to to follow along with the storyline. And the storyline is also the price. That's what I've always had a hard time with crypto. It's so volatile that you can't ignore the price.
Very true. Yeah.
As much as you want to just shut that off, you can't even go on Twitter. There's not a hashtag that's separate for price, that's separate from the story. I mean, you could technically say the money Jasmy is different than the hashtag Jasmy. And, if everybody rolled that way, I guess you could do a search for either or and probably get more information based on what you're looking for, whether it's price discovery or, company news discovery,
Absolutely. Lately, the past couple months, I don't even open Coinbase or my wallets or anything. I can just tell if it's a green or red day just by opening up this platform. I'm not even talking about chart posts. I'm just saying, if I don't immediately see someone, saying, hell yeah, pump, I'm like, oh, okay, it's probably flat or a red day today.
Well, I had a whole period where I never looked at the charts, never looked at my Coinbase account unless I was adding, $20 or something to it. And so I would sometimes post something really amazing about Jasmy, thinking like, yo, this is the most amazing post ever. And it was tone deaf because almost everyone else was just watching the price. And I'm posting this great news while Jasmy is literally having a, 7% tank in a 5-minute candle.
It hurts. It hurts,
Well, then I would go look at the price 30 minutes later and be like, oh my God, I mean, I'll post no matter good day or bad day. If I find some news about Jasmy, I'll post it. But it was always like sometimes like, maybe I should consider people's, emotions on the bad days. I guess I don't know. I didn't really consider anyone else's emotions because I didn't really have an angle for promoting Jasmy other than I was posting stuff that hadn't been posted before, or coming with insights that hadn't been posted before. But I probably like you, I don't really have an angle on Jasmy. I like it for myself. I'm willing
I have
to
one
share
angle. That's to hold it.
Yeah, to hold it. And I love it for myself, and I'm willing to share everything I know about it with anyone else so that they can make some kind of, at least so they can learn about it because it's fascinating technology. But if they want to invest in it, that's up to them based on whatever amount of research they've done. Hopefully, they've done some.
Absolutely. Hey, quick disclaimer. Hey, not financial advice. Do your own research.
Yeah, I have no financial advice for anyone. Penny saved is a penny earned. So Jasmy saved is a Jasmy earned.
One Jasmy equals one Jasmy, right?
Yeah, I'm old school. That was what they told us when we were kids. Penny saved is a penny earned.
So, which Jasmy partnership is your favorite out of all of them?
Woo. Oh,
I know it's tough. Yeah, there's a lot.
No, I struggle with that because it sometimes changes. I mean, just what what I shared with you today and you shared with me today about Transcosmos just puts Transcosmos, as boring as they are. I mean, they're a call center company. They're just not exciting at all. They're actually pretty exciting for a call center company. And I think what I shared with you today was that they had partnered with Fortnite creators to build in their metaverse. And Transcosmos Metaverse is, I think, even overlooked by me a lot of times. It's like it doesn't always have anything to do with Jasmy, so it can look, I can overlook it sometimes. But I think Transcosmos is one of the main keys to Jasmy's success, because Transcosmos will end up forcing companies to deal with Jasmy in some way or the other through their call center. And Transcosmos's partner list is everyone. It's McDonald's and it's Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's Toyota and it's Honda. It's even the competitors. Competitors both use Transcosmos. So I don't know if that's the most exciting partnership. I think Aplex is extremely exciting too, and it's another boring company. But I think the Microsoft Azure connection with Aplex, it almost feels like Aplex is some kind of an interface between Jasmy and Microsoft. And so that's very interesting. And then the Panasonic. I mean, I think maybe the Panasonic's my favorite. Just end it there.
Hey, that's good. I like that answer. All right. What do you think Jasmy could improve on?
Marketing and communication.
Oh, yeah.
Just straight up. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that was a pretty easy one.
Yeah, it's easy. It's also just like, why is it so hard?
I know it's so hard to justify, and I always go back to the Steve Jobs video, and I'm like, Apple, product before marketing, the product isn't done yet. So that's my only defense, though. It's not a really strong defense. I mean, it's like that video is like what, 20 years old or something.
Yeah, and especially like after the long and prolonged dilution, which I never fully I actually fully understood the dilution. I understood why it was necessary because of Japanese regulations stating that a domestic crypto company would have to dilute at least 70% of their tokens on international exchanges before being greenlisted in Japan to be on an exchange. I remember reading that in a long, extensive, I think it was Nishimura Law Office article on the Japanese crypto regulations. What I didn't expect was how rapid and fast that dilution was going to be. I think that threw me for a tailwind. I just never even expected that from a company I thought was like old Japanese respectable businessmen. You know, I didn't know that financial strategy. I still don't fully understand it, but you know, I've learned to kind of roll with it.
Yeah, and if you weren't here for that, you know, you can look up Bellwood Enterprises and Suzuki. That was the last name of that guy. So yeah, that was pretty much why that happened. That came from them.
Right. They made it really deliberate, fast, and sudden, and just caught everyone off guard. It caught me off guard for sure. And I think at some point we had all suspected that there was some mishandling of the token, you know, circulating supply. And that started before we knew about Bellwood. That started with Coinbase manipulating the percentage numbers. Like Jasmy would be up 60%, but it wouldn't be on the top mover list. It could be down 60%, and then all of a sudden it was on the top mover list. It was like everything was, it was like everybody was trying to make sure Jasmy could just flop. And it seemed suspicious to me at the time too. It almost made me want to buy more. You know, like I think at times I did buy more. I was like, nah, I don't believe this. Like I would go back and forth from being outright horrified to going back to my conviction, reading, you know, my Jasmy notes again and being like, I'm calling bullshit on this. This is complete BS. And I still
that was tough because everything that we were researching and looking at and the community was doing was saying one thing, and the price action was just saying the complete opposite. And it was, you know, and we were on the defensive for like 2 years.
Yeah, and I think there was a certain point where we were able to chalk some of it up to just lost in translation and things like that. But I also, there's points where I was like, this is just so unacceptable. And it wasn't even the dilution at that point. It was also the communication. It was the communication of Jasmy's team to us saying, hey, something bad happened. We're going to correct it. I think everybody would have been cool with it, but I think people might have done better with their DCAing. I think for the people that were in at that time, any Jasmy they bought that they held to this date makes the floor stronger for Jasmy. It doesn't make it weaker. You want the most fervent people to get in on the ground floor. That's why most tokens start at zero and go up. Jasmy started up and went to, you know, basically to zero. So it was very opposite to most of the tokens that I had been used to looking at, like Bitcoin. You know, it starts off small and then it grows based on demand, where Jasmy was like falling even as demand was going up. So it was just hard for me to reconcile that at the time. But because of my research, my conviction was, you know, pretty rock solid and resolute. And I even got to the point where I was like, you know, it either goes to zero or it works. This is going to work, or it goes to zero.
Absolutely. And hey, a shout out to all of you that are still here. You know, I mean, all of you are badass in my eye. Now, since we're discussing price, and so with this answer, you can kind of give me like, where do you think about a price range and what do you think about development? Like, where do you think Jasmy will be in 2026 and 2030 when Lambo?
Well, I'm going to have to just bring a little of that last question into this question, because every company that I've ever seen that was worth a damn has a chart similar to Jasmy and has a story similar to Jasmy. And when I looked at Sony's chart over a 20-year period and looked at Jasmy's new, you know, 3-year chart, what I saw in Sony's chart was actually exactly what I saw in Jasmy's chart. It started at a price, it skyrocketed, it dipped for like several, you know, 10 years, 15 years. And then it literally reached a new all-time high eventually, looking very much like that U shape that's developing with Jasmy, you know, where we can go back up. I think Jasmy has to execute, obviously, for their story to continue attracting investors. But I did watch Apple go from a garage in, you know, California to one of probably the most global company in the world. I mean, there's not many rivals to Apple. And they started in a garage, and they just had some really smart people. And Jasmy is basically ahead of that. They have, you know, a team that this is not their first time going into business on something. It's not going to be their first success. It won't be their first failure, but I think they've had enough successes and failures throughout their career to know how to make this successful, where I don't think they would even try at this age. I just don't even see what 80-year-old wants to still be working unless they're just absolutely passionate and believe in something, or somebody tasked them to do it. You know,
it's really handy to have that kind of like life experience. And I've noticed that the Jasmy community may be a little bit older on average than some other crypto communities. Most people I talk to are at least 30. So I just think that's interesting. I think we're a more mature community.
I think we're based, maybe Jasmy allows us to be a little bit based more in reality, because there's a lot of reality to Jasmy, not only in the purpose of Jasmy, but like that they have patents, they have partners. Like,
yeah, I mean, the Internet of Things is like taking crypto and bringing it to reality.
I mean, the biggest red flag on a crypto for me, not the biggest, but one of the red flags for me on a crypto is I look at their partner page. They got 250 partners. I've never heard of one of them. Not a single one. They all got names like Zydex chain and things I've never heard of, and just, you know, too many Z's, too many X's, and weird names. I'm just like, I don't know any of this. And so maybe it's because I'm old and I'm like Gary Gensler or something because of my age, but but I like seeing Panasonic and Hitachi and Fujitsu and, you know, Toyota and companies I've heard of, because they've been here my whole life. Toyota was here before I was born, and they'll probably be here after. And so was Panasonic. And some of these companies Jasmy is partnered with are 100-year-old companies. They're not even, you know, we think of them as 80s companies because that's when we started seeing them in the US, as, you know, the Japanese technological invasion came in. But a lot of these companies go way, way back, including NTT, which actually started off as a very old American company and eventually became a Japanese company, Nippon Telegraph company.
It is crazy. I love seeing Jasmy partner with insanely old companies, if not directly, indirectly. And yeah, like the I forget it's like the architects and the engineers that in Japan, it's like about 100-year company for infrastructure, and they're working with them now. So
right. Panasonic was Matsushita before it was Panasonic, and they at some point they owned Sanyo too. They still own Sanyo, but at some point they had bought Sanyo and a bunch of other companies that we used to hear about that we don't hear about so much anymore, because they killed off a lot of their brands, absorbed the technology into their other brands that they were already selling. But most of these companies are still around. Sanyo is still around, and they develop a whole bunch of stuff for Panasonic. And they do air conditionings, vents, and all of it's IoT, you know, all of it's controllable through IoT devices. So, you know, even the companies that seem kind of far off are still within Jasmy's scope of infrastructure for IoT. And then seeing that announcement with Panasonic, because we'd seen that Panasonic had something to do with Jasmy. It didn't always look legit. We didn't have enough info on it. But with the recent announcement, it was very, very, it's a great look, because they actually announced what we were saying in the announcement. It wasn't just that Jasmy's working with Panasonic, it's Jasmy's working with Panasonic to build out a platform, an IoT platform for the world, which, you know, Panasonic is a global company. So that seems doable. When I hear Zaxxon Coin, that I've never heard of before, with 3 22-year-old startup guys from 3 different countries, you know, are going to do the same thing, it seems less believable to me.
I'll pass.
Yeah, I'll pass. Exactly. And I understand the risk. Like, Jasmy can still go to zero. Like, I get it. I just feel more comfortable with my money in something like that. And if I was to, you know, the fact that I even, you know, promote Jasmy in the off-cuff way of just, you know, putting out the information as it comes out and trying to piece together their story, I guess to some extent that's inadvertently promoting it.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah. Then I want to be, you know, if I'm going to be an educational resource for something, I want it to be something that's worth being educated about. And at the very end of the day, Jasmy and his partners is a very educational subject. I even now have my nephew on it. He gets more Jasmy when he learns about Jasmy.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hold on. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hello?
Okay, hey guys, sorry, I'm having my space glitch, so I can't hear anybody. So,
Can you hear me?
In order to keep it going, I'm just going to ask the questions, and then if someone could just message me when Little Bitman's done answering. So the next question I have for you, Little Bitman, what exchanges do you utilize? Do you trust centralized exchanges? Do you hold assets on chain, or a combination of both?
Can everybody, if anyone could hear me, hit some kind of 100 or a hand wave, just so, am I hearable? I don't think anyone can hear me. Can anyone hear me? All right, Jasmine, yeah, I can hear me. Cool, I'll keep talking. Yeah, it's a mix for me. It's when I was first, getting on, I did Coinbase because it was, easy, and I'm in the US, so I don't have too many options. Since then, I've opened up a couple other exchange accounts, but I don't use them much. I bought a few things and just kind of leave them there, and I have no interest in the things I even bought in those exchanges. As far as wallets, I have a whole bunch of wallets. I got about 5 or 8 wallets, mainly through trying to learn how wallets work and just opening up wallets to understand how they work and how bridges work and that. But every single one of those wallets has some Jasmy in it, but most of those wallets aren't for much other than that. I have one that I use for the Metaverse, and I have another one I use for integrating a website, because I'm trying to integrate my ENS name into the website, because ENS is very interesting to me as far as a different token. And but yeah, no, I keep it pretty simple. I pretty much buy, and every now and then I put what I bought into the wallets, and I keep a little bit in the exchange. I bought plane tickets one time with my Jasmy. I helped pay off some of my mom's debt and bills with some Jasmy a couple times. But other than that, I just buy and hold. How do I tell you next question? Someone let Icy know when I mute, he can ask the next question. All right, I'll just keep talking because I don't know what's going on. What else can we talk about? If anyone has any questions, hit me up with the questions.
Okay,
too.
next question. You are very excited for the upcoming World Expo 2025 in Osaka, Japan, which is now less than a year away. Do you think this could be a revealing event for Jasmy to the world?
Yes and no. I mean, I think if Jasmy is going to have anything to do with Japan's DX digital transformation, then I would expect Jasmy to be a part of Expo 2025. It would be very disappointing to me if they are not in some way involved, even as a presenter. Even if they're not part of the infrastructure, I would be certainly a little bit, I don't know what the right emotional word for it, but I would be emotionally taken back based on the fact that would mean to me that maybe they're being left behind. So to me, Expo 2025 is the put up or shut up moment for Japan as a whole, and not just JASMY. Like whatever gets revealed at Expo 2025, to me, that works and gets adopted, is we're going to see that for the next 10 to 20 years. And things that are revealed that don't get adopted, or they don't even present at it or have a place in that Expo 2025, I expect those to be forgotten. You know, maybe they'll come around again with something different, but I think that opportunity of being a part of the global digital transformation that Japan is pushing would be set back or lost completely. So as far as going to Expo 2025, I'm very excited to go. You know, I hope JASMY is a part of it. I suspect they are, and why I suspect they are is because of their connection to Cyber Trust, which, you know, when I talk about the most exciting partnerships, that could be it too, because Cyber Trust is a part of Expo 2025 with their entrance, exit, I trust identity, you know, authentication technology. So I know that actually is a part of it through SBI Group. I know that SBI NFT is a part of Expo 2025. I know that Panasonic has a huge booth at Expo 2025. That booth is going to be geared towards the green carbon initiatives in Japan, and I believe it's with Hitachi or Fujitsu. One of those two companies is co-exhibiting with them on that. I also don't think that'll be the only Panasonic booth. I think they're too big of a company to only have one booth, or if that is the one booth, we'll see a lot of different products integrated into that booth that they're going to be showing off. Honda is a part of Expo 2025. Toyota is a part of Expo 2025. Sorimitsu is part of it. Sony is a part of it. There's really hard to say a company that is not.
All right. Hey, just wanted to hop in. I can hear. I got another device, so I can hear now.
Awesome. Good to have you back. Yes, I'm actually very bullish on Expo 2025. I actually also don't really care if JASMY flies to the moon, but if it doesn't, like right this moment, but I think if it's not showing very significant improvement leading up to Expo 2025, that would be another red flag. I think the yen also, I put the yen in that same basket, where I think the yen will see a lot of improvement in its price as we lead up to Expo 2025. I think now is a great time for all the people involved in Expo 2025, all the global corporations. I think we'll see them starting to buy yen now, so that they're not buying expensive yen when the actual event comes around. And mind you, the event is 6 months long. It's not a 1 week thing. It's a big involved event. They'll be breaking out robo taxis. They'll be breaking out the flying cars at the Expo 2025, and probably a bunch of technology I can't even imagine. You know, the Metaverse, gaming, music, art, culture, it's going to be there. If you've never been to a World Fair before, they're amazing. I went when I was a kid to a couple of them, and I saw some of the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life, including, you know, the oddest.
Well, by the way, I have about a 15-second delay whenever I speak, so I apologize about that. So I'm just going to keep on going. I hope that we can see each other at the World Expo 2025. I'll try my best to make it.
Yeah, and if there is some big community push to meet up out there, maybe that would be a moment we could entice Kazumasa and Hara and maybe even Kunitake Ando to, you know, to do something, you know, hold a little, you know, Q&A or some kind of event. I would hope that JASMY is planning something like that anyway, but maybe even something for the international community. If they picked a date and they said, hey, we're going to be speaking at this pavilion on this date and showcasing something, I would imagine a lot of people who are very into JASMY might make that the time they go. I would certainly want to do that.
Oh, yeah, I absolutely hope JASMY is planning some kind of event at the World Expo. That would be amazing. And I would be so excited to see many community members show up and seeing each other for the first time.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm not.
But the so I had another question, which is hopping over to Bitcoin. Do you think Bitcoin is part of the problem or part of the solution?
I think Bitcoin is a solution for sure, but I don't think it's the only solution. And I think that it can be modified, as we've seen lately, to be a lot more than what Bitcoin was even 5 years ago. But I don't think it's the be all end all of what is necessary for blockchain. Like, I don't think everything that's Web3 can work just with Bitcoin. So I think if you canceled every other token, including Ethereum, you're like, nope, only Bitcoin, it's the best one, it won, the whole world's going to use it. Try building metaverses and everything else we do with Web3 on Bitcoin. I think would be very hard. So I don't think it's the be all end all, but I think it's like the central land to me. It's just the granddaddy of that technology or whatever. You know, it's the one that did it first. And whether it's the best or the worst, the fact that they were first to market will always mean something. And I think it's paved the way and opened the door for, you know, every other token to come in too. You know, the thing is, Bitcoin wasn't the first token either. Bitcoin was, you know, after the first tokens. There was, I want to say, like 5 or 6.
That's a very good and diplomatic answer. I like it. So what other crypto projects do you research and support? And I'll wait for you to say when you're done answering this time. That way I know when to ask the next one. Sorry.
Perfect. I'll do that at the end. I'm pretty corny with my crypto. It's like I have some JASMY. I like ENS, and mainly the same reasons I like JASMY. They have partnerships with Google and partnerships with GoDaddy. So companies I already use, they integrated with. So it's just obvious to me that if I can integrate it now and use ENS with my Google and my GoDaddy, then ENS isn't going anywhere. So I like it. I wouldn't tell anyone what price to get it at. I just like it long term. You know, it could go back to $3 or it could go to 30 again. Decentraland, I'm always buying mana and I'm always spending my mana. I usually have mana in my wallet for a good hour or two, and then it's mostly gone. A lot of times I'm just, you know, helping onboard a lot of people that I work with who are doing, you know, anything from a coffee shop I go to some of my friends who are producing movies or writing books. Like, they've been getting spaces in a couple different metaverses and starting to build. And so I've helped them in the beginning, you know, and buying their name for them or whatever and sending it to them and whatever I had to do to help them get through the first hurdle. Because what I've noticed is a lot of people aren't ready for Web3. They don't want to learn anything new. They don't want to be in custody of their wallet. It's just a lot of responsibility, actually. Like, being in Web3 and having wallets and operating with owning digital land and digital assets, there's a type of responsibility that comes with that, or you're probably going to lose it, you know? And so yeah, I like mana. I will always buy it, but I don't hold it. I don't really hold much of mana at all. I hold land and I hold some mana NFTs, like Polygon NFTs actually. So in Decentraland, when you buy real world assets, you're using a Polygon layered mana. In case that helps anybody understand how even Jasmy and Junction could work. It's like I'm still using mana, but inside Decentraland, I have to convert my mana from regular mana to Polygon mana, and then I use Matic to pay for the gas on those types of things. And Matic is cheap, but I do understand how Junction can work. And people are, oh, they're going to make another coin or all this. I mean, I think some of those, if you used other platforms and other wallets or CEXs, then that doesn't freak you out as much. Yeah. Next question. It's like the 15-second delay.
All right. Well, that was an excellent response to lead into the next one. You and I might be among the most active Metaverse users of the Jasmy community. We've heard Akira mention they might outsource to Sony. What do you think Jasmy's Metaverse play will be? And I'll mention that I treat my root the same way that you treat your mana. I spend it and I hold land and NFTs.
Got you. It's a very interesting thing. Like, just like you said, you're buying root and you're unloading it, and I can't imagine that helps the price for the people that are holding it, hoping that that's their ticket. But I think that's one thing we can learn about a functional token is a functional token isn't getting storage. It's literally getting used. And just to talk a little bit about that, I've noticed in Decentraland or in Sandbox and one, a couple other metaverses that they'll have a big event, and all of a sudden the price of the token skyrockets because everybody's buying that token to participate in the event and buy wearables, support people, tip people, do whatever it is, entrance to the event. And then after the event, about a week later, you'll see the price tank because all the people that earned that token during that event now have to pay bills because those events aren't free. So they're usually offloading those tokens and turning them back into fiat or Bitcoin or whatever they're doing with it. And that seems to be the cycle of metaverse related tokens. As far as like Jasmy and metaverse, I don't know if Jasmy's aim is to build a Jasmy metaverse. I know they've said it, but I don't know if it was translated in a way that I fully understand what their intentions were. But Sony is ready. Sony has a huge metaverse play that they're going to push out that has to do with the PlayStation. It has to do with only the PlayStation. Like, you have to have a Sony ID and a Sony wallet to participate. And recently, Sony actually announced their wallet. It was called the Sony Green Wallet, and you can look it up. It's a Sony crypto wallet, and it was released for the U.S. or at least the announcement said it was being released for the U.S. Like I want to say like right about now, and maybe it's already out there. But that was a metaverse play. Even in the description of the article, it was talking about this wallet was meant for the metaverse and integrating people into Web3. So I know Sony has a wallet. I know they have a metaverse, but we haven't seen it yet. And I expect it to be amazing straight off the top. Disney recently announced a metaverse where their map will include different big name movie, like Cars would be a place that you can go to Cars World, and then you can run across the map over to Star Wars World. So I'm extremely excited about that. The difference between the Sony and Disney metaverse and like say Futureverse or Decentraland is that they're not decentralized and there's no ownership. For me, I don't feel as enticed because I don't own anything in there, and then my participation is just from an outsider standpoint, where the decentralized metaverses seem to me to have a real future because underground communities need that. It's actually really, really, really good for underground communities and niche communities. And so when I'm in the metaverse, I see everything from, reggae communities forming and, reggae artists from Brazil are linking up with reggae artists from Japan. And that's all happening over there. There's people who just make beats that are hip hop and they hang out all day, and you can go to their land and just listen to them make beats all day. And there's models in there doing fashion shows. And so there's a lot of underground niche communities building in there that really I don't see Meta or any other metaverse really servicing in the same way, because they're not as they don't really give you the ownership, so you don't own anything, so it doesn't feel as good to be there. It doesn't feel as good to give, and participate. So that would be my take on that. I think Jasmy won't be for either of those. I think Jasmy can be integrated into either a decentralized metaverse, or it can be in a centralized metaverse, put on by a big company. going back to what we were talking about earlier with Transcosmos, which is one of Jasmy's first partners, they're completely about the metaverse. They have a whole another department in Transcosmos and a separate web page dedicated to all their metaverse endeavors. So I think Jasmy is at the very least going to be an authentication mechanism for the metaverse. I don't know what Jasmy's metaverse would be. Would it be a shoot 'em up game? I mean, I just don't. That's where I get stuck trying to understand the Jasmy metaverse, you know. But I'll stop speaking so you can chime in, because I'm actually interested to hear what you have to say about this too.
Yeah, I think Jasmy could be more of a utility within multiple metaverses and the open metaverse. So yeah, like you said, I think that they could participate in both centralized and decentralized metaverses. And I agree that intellectual property ownership by the user and interoperability is absolutely key for any metaverse. So I think the open metaverse concept is going to do very well. And for anybody that didn't know, Decentraland, Sandbox, Futureverse, and another one called Witch, I think. They're going to be holding the first Metaverse CEO roundtable meeting. Should be a live space on this platform, I think, on May 15th. So I'm definitely going to be checking that out and excited to see what they all have to say.
So one of my questions for you maybe is like, where I get, I'm trying to fully understand Janction is does Janction seems like something that would make that interoperability between metaverses easier by being able to bridge, you know, wallets through Janction. Do you think am I getting that correctly? And I'll stop so you can react quicker.
Yeah, I think Janction and Asto Altered State Machine, which Masanobu Yoshida, after he left Jasmy to go to ASM and be an advisor, I mean, these two systems and networks seem like they're almost built to like complement each other. Because I don't see anything about where the GPU processing is coming from or where the data is being stored on the Futureverse white paper or in ASM or their data market that they've just have a very small paragraph that they want to have some kind of data market. So Janction could definitely be the decentralized edge powerhouse that powers this whole thing, which would dramatically reduce the cost, the overhead cost for these metaverse networks themselves.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it actually brings up a whole another interesting partner to Jasmy, which is Remix Point, which is the energy company behind BitPoint. And if anyone's not up to date, BitPoint was recently bought out by SBI Group. And Genki Oda got elevated to, you know, a high director or something at SBI. I can't remember his exact title right now. And I've actually been going back with Neo Xtrix a little bit about the SBI connection. So big up Neo Xtrix. I see you there. Just want to say what's up. You do amazing artwork, the AI and everything, and your insights are always on point. So big up. And Icy, back to you.
All right, so I'm just going to hop in the comments. We have a couple questions. The first one is from our Maya, who runs the Jasmy Underground Research Discord. Be sure to give him a follow and check out his Discord. What possible partnerships or what possible partners do you think could be next on the line for this project? And what possible connections can you see? Also, in what ways do you think Jasmy is going to expand into areas that we would not usually expect?
First off, big up, because Jasmine was one of the first to take the initiative to do the videos and just really push the Jasmy info other places. So, you know, enough respect. And I think I even remember an old Reddit conversation where you were in the conversation, and at some point I was just like, yeah, I think you'd uncover something pretty cool. And I was like, what are you guys are, and I think I said, you guys are like the underground Jasmy research collective or something. And I've loved seeing like that kind of still be a part of our community. And just, I don't know, I gotta really dig up the early Reddit kids, because that was just a crazy time. As far as answering the question, who Jasmy might be lining with, I mean, it could be everyone. If they really are a Felica chip play, anything that a Felica chip is in. And so it could be Apple. I know everybody wants it to be X, but I just don't even know if Elon would use something outsourced. I mean, it would have to be white labeled for him, so we may never know. I think exchanges in general could partner with Jasmy. So every single exchange that Jasmy is on, there might actually be a use case for Jasmy there, and they're not just on that exchange for, you know, to create more liquidity, because they're on enough exchanges for that. I sometimes wonder if Jasmy's KYC technology is or will be used at many of these exchanges. I almost feel like that might have been the deal at Binance until Binance decided to run with their own product. I've also haven't seen anything that says that Binance's product isn't somehow a white label of Jasmy's product either. What I've been looking at today was I've delved back into Vio a lot lately, and the original partnership. And Vio has a lot more going on than I think most people realize. And they have a thing called VFR, which is Vio Flying Robots. And Vio Flying Robots, you know, starts to link up with some of the stuff that Panasonic Avionics is doing. And there's a lot of Jasmy's partners that have loose ties to drone companies, because we've seen Jasmy, you know, work and do things drone related, whether it's the drone light show or whatever. On several occasions, Jasmy has been related to the drone industry. And when I look at, you know, what is it, Japan Innovation Partners that owns Vio, and you look at some of the other companies they own, that play comes in. So I think, you know, Jasmy's main thing is IoT and data security. So on, you know, global, you know, any exchange over the globe they're listed on, I think their KYC tech is great. I think for PDL, that's anybody who's trying to safely secure their data, and if that is tied into the Felica chip in somehow, you know, some way, which we all suspect, and it's almost been announced, you know, in that fashion, then we could say that anything with the Felica chip is a possible Jasmy partner. In fact, if Jasmy partner is Felica chip, then, you know, it's game over. I don't think anyone would have to worry about the price as long as they're willing to hold it while the technology gets adopted. Because I don't think without data, Jasmy coin can really sustain a price level higher than it's actually worth based on data. You know, I think it can pump on whatever reason, you know, whether it's manipulation or just all out market exuberance, but to sustain a price level requires somebody, and basically everybody, you know, on the buy and the sell side, to agree that that's the floor, that's the actual value of the company. And until more value is added, whether it goes up or down, that's kind of where the base floor is, you know. I have notes with a ton of partners that I think we can all suspect. Like I think HP. So I think one thing we've discussed before, and I think more people are discussing now, is just the secure PC.
All right, thank you for that. We
yeah,
have one more new question in the comments, and that's they're asking about the lockup. When is lockup? So we already had the test lockup of 100 million that occurred already. So I guess I'll alter the question a little bit. How, like, do you think that they're going to lock up, you know, kind of monthly, or do you think it'll just be in bursts as needed as when companies want to lock up more, or do you think they're going to have more of like a steady schedule?
I mean, at first I think we read it as there was a steady schedule for lockup, but I think after trying to reinterpret it, maybe that didn't seem like the case after rereading it in the translation. I have absolutely no idea how they're going to do the lockup. I don't even know how many coins BitPoint holds. Like BitPoint's exchange data has been hidden and it's not available. If you go to CoinMarketCap, you can't find it. It's hard to know what's actually circulating, what's not circulating without seeing BitPoint's numbers. You know, and they're one of the first exchanges. I feel like most of the JASMY came from BitPoint. If it went to other exchanges, it probably came out of BitPoint to those exchanges. And I know Metaverse was the first person in the Reddit community to take on, you know, following those wallets. And there's one other person, I'm slipping his name, and I hope if they are still in our community, they don't feel disrespected. But yeah, there was Dip and one other person that was really on the wallet, you know, side of things, and keeping the whole community up to date on that. So that's always been good. But we've never had BitPoint's numbers. We've never known what they're doing. Maybe someone recently, I think, thinks they uncovered the Bitcoin wallet. I mean, the BitPoint wallet, but I can't confirm that. I don't know when they'll do dilution. I mean, I don't know when they'll do lockup, but I will say one thing for the community is the way we can lock it up, and this is definitely not financial advice, is take some of your tokens off exchange is the only way we can lock them up and get them out of those big exchange wallets. So when you see the Coinbase wallet and you see the Binance wallet and your tokens are still on the exchange, that's your tokens, and we don't know what they're doing with those tokens because they could be selling them, dumping them, pumping them. They have access to that. I mean, I know that they're in custody of it. I heard a rumor, I don't know if this is true, but if you put a sell order on your tokens, that also effectively locks up the price if you want to leave them on exchange. By actually going and putting a sell order on it, even if it's $28, putting that sell order on there takes them out of the liquidity. They're no longer considered tradable because there's actually an order on them. I don't know if that's true, but that's one thing someone told me. They called it a lazy person's lockup. So yeah, I do encourage the community, not even for financial reasons, but just to understand wallets. If you don't have any tokens in a cold wallet or you know, some other type of wallet,
I could totally agree with
wallet.
that, and I encourage anybody listening, if you do not hold any JASMY on a crypto wallet, I encourage you to start learning how crypto wallets work. Always do small test transactions first. You know, you can just pay the gas fee, just send a little bit, $10, you know, make sure it gets there.
Even that little bit
become a holder, you know.
Exchange,
I actually sent like $10 to like another one just to add another one, you know, just for fun. So we've pretty much come to the end of the interview. We made it. Thank you all for sticking around. This was JASMY Samurai interview number 1, featuring the legendary Lilbidman. And yeah, I'll let you close out, man. Thank you so much for your time and speaking with me. And I look forward to meeting more of you and to holding more of these. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. You know, big up. I see a lot of people from the community here, JASMY AI, Forza Lecha, Neo X Tricks, you know, and a lot of new faces. West Coast, I see you. And just want to, you know, I appreciate whatever support I've gotten from anybody. You know, I will do it anyway, but you know, it always feels good if you're sharing information and you feel like your efforts are making a difference for other people. So for whatever that is, you know, big up. And I do plan maybe Sunday or Monday when I have some time, going back through this interview with Icy, and I will make a post and try to link articles and links to some of the stuff we discussed for anybody who wants to like dig deeper into any of this. So big up and happy Friday. And I hope Jasmy makes it. I hope you all make it. And I hope this price action that's going on doesn't scare people from what Jasmy really is, which is a company building technology and not a company shilling coins. You know, the coins are just supposed to reflect the progress of the company. So I hope I can remember that through all this volatility, because crypto is definitely hard. And anybody who's here with me doing this, you know, whether you're just learning or you're invested, it's a lot to soak up. So, you know, stay strong and carry on. Jasmy Warrior, I see you.
All right, so there it is, guys. There is the legendary interview with Lilbidman. Again, Lilbidman, a fantastic source for myself, for Max, for a lot of people in the community. He does a lot for all of us. I highly recommend that you go give Icy and you give Lilbidman a follow on X. Both very, very informative. Two of the best sources of information, valid information when it comes to Jasmy. So yeah, very, 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 very good stuff. It's good to have different perspectives, guys, right? on situations. So we're gonna keep doing this, and yeah, I got a couple of things to do. I will be back for the normal morning live stream in about, I don't know, maybe an hour, hour and a half, and we'll get going with the normal live stream. This was just kind of like a bonus live stream for you guys. So I will see you guys in just over an hour for the normal Jasmy morning live stream. So thanks for coming, guys.